It should be doing it.
It's a link you posted on.
Yeah. Refresh the page. Wait for it. I saw it. It's happening.
Chrome. All right.
All right, so it's happening. Can you hear me? All right, it looks that everything's working, and all right, it looks that everything's working. All right. Just wait a little bit. We just wait a little bit until these faults come back.
So we'll be starting now-ish. I am an alum. I was in Fall 2 last year. And most of my batch, I just did Emacs. And I did that on his computer. So I've been doing SpaceMax for like, I guess, almost 2 years. And I've been an Emacs user for 2 years and 3 months. So most of my experience is just using this very big distribution called SpaceMax that tries to join Beam key bindings in Emacs as the, as a big thing, the glue that glues everything together. Yeah, that's kind of like how I got into Emacs. I wanted to try new languages and try to try new things, and always this new syntax highlighting was always Emacs first. Like when Elixir came out, all the tools came in Emacs first, so that was nice. And that was nice. But then org mode started like tingling in my ear. Like people say that how great org mode is, and I was like, this is just like asterisks and things. Like how can that be so great for organizing yourself? Until I started using it and forced myself to use it by writing my lab reports on it, writing like budgets on it, saying to-do list for myself. But it was not quite, like I never really had quite an introduction to it. So that's why I kind of wanted to make this talk so people can see like upfront all the things that can be done with org mode. And the expectation is not like you'll do all the things at once, but rather have a knowledge of what you can do. So you go slowly on or you go as comfortable as you want in your path. And yeah, so this is me. I work at a small startup that is disruptive called eBay, and my views do not reflect the views of eBay at all. Okay, let's start. So first things first. Let's get the mandatory cat GIF out of the way. Yes, Emacs reproduces GIFs. All right, cool. Now that we got that, what is this talk? This talk is going to show you cool features, and I'm going to have links on them in like most of the features, and then this is going to be uploaded to GitHub, and then you can check all the things. You know how people show slides? I'm just going to show the org text file, because this presentation is also written in org mode. So, and why? Well, maybe you'll use them, and maybe not. That's up to you. So, what is mostly done for what org mode is mostly used for is for to-dos, right? You can just start a to-do on live code a presentation right here by saying to-do, and then it will highlight it, and so you can see visually a tree of what you have to do and what has been done. That's nice, but there's more things to it. Like, let's say you want to do something regarding some part of your code, right? You can link to files. For example, this is one of the uses I gave. For example, I was working on this open source package called Mocha Snippets, and I make a to-do that says like, hey, make Mocha Snippets have a variable to configure space before this arrow. And then there is like this little icon that takes me to the actual function in the actual line, so I can like look at it. And I have this to-do heading anywhere you want. And then later we'll go until like how easy can it be to get access to this to-do element. But it's nice that you can just like link to a file in your own file system. Okay, how do we do this? Let's say we're gonna do some live coding here again. Let's say I want to be in this is a file I'm working on. And let's say I say like, okay, so I want to link to this part of my file. It's as easy as like you're already working on it. You press Ctrl+C+L, it says it stores the file, and the way it stores it is like it takes a path to a file and some like text to it that it will later go and search for that line text. It's kind of like sad if your file changes, it's gonna be not as good. But there is this little nice thing that is called OrgAlert that will actually link to revisions and line numbers in your source files. So you can have like, annotations for any branch that you have. Like it's a feature branch, sure. It will take you to the actual revision of it and check out the branch you want to check out, and then it will give it to you. So it's a nice feature to have. Right now I'm just showing the how it works with like the basic way. Once you have the link stored with Ctrl+CL, you go and say, okay, in your org file, how to do this. Press Ctrl+C, Ctrl+CL, and then the first line it's auto completed. It will say, oh, it's a file. So you just paste a description, link to file, and then it will. This is how a link is expressed. When you press enter on it or Ctrl+C, Ctrl+O, it will link you to that file. Now, how do you do links to web pages? You just copy it, and then you do Ctrl+C, Ctrl+CL, paste it, paste a description, and that's it. Now, I don't know whether or not I'll touch this later, but there is ways of having, for example, org slide. There's way of having automated ways to get a description out of a link, especially if it's a web link, right? Because if you have like a GitHub link, you can have a handler of in your function Emacs that will get that paste link and do whatever you want to it. Some people do, especially for blogs, they make an HTTP request to the blog, they get a header and a title, and they just put that title as a description. And that's a nice way of like having and saving blogs to read or posts, etc. In this case, I have a handler for GitHub that says, just strip everything that is below the GitHub repo and then just put it like that. So that's nice. I didn't have to put any description to it. It just does it automatically. So that's a nice thing to do. What else? You can sync your to-dos with your to-do comments. Most people just do like a / to-do in their projects. And our projectile lets you periodically sync to-do an org mode file inside your project in that root parent, and it will sync all that to-do comments to actual to-dos in your org file. So that's extremely nice, especially if you work with other people that are not using org mode or Emacs, and you want to be inclusive for all your things. So you accommodate them by having your to sync up, and that's pretty nice. That feature is like given by our projectile, and the link is there. And I think just the explanation of it is kind of enough. And they have like a very nice README, so it's very easy to set up. The other thing that you can do to organize your life is have an agenda, right? It's hard to maintain a written agenda. It's hard to maintain an agenda that knows it all. But I think the closest thing I've ever encountered to it has been the org mode agenda. So we'll go slowly through what things can be done. So you can see what you have to do today by scheduling to-dos. The way you schedule a to-do is like this. You have a to-do, and let's say to-do, let's schedule this for Monday. You press Ctrl+C, Ctrl+S, and it shows you a little calendar down there that tells you when do you want to schedule it. You can either point and click, or you can say Monday at 12:30. And it will do it for you, and it adds this line. The nice part is that there is no external data structure or like database that is being saved. is just an extra line that says a schedule and then a format of a day. So this can be saved, this can be version control, this can be done, all the things that you can do with texts, and it will still work, right? There's no migration you need to do. You can just move this to another file and it will still work. Okay, so let's get rid of that because I have an agenda ready. And let's look at the agenda. When you press Ctrl+C+A, you get a menu of your agenda, and you can choose all the among all these choices of what to do. Let's say just press A for agenda for the current day, and this is the view it gives you. You can say you can schedule things repeatedly for habits or things that you need to do daily or weekly. You can access the actual to-do when you press enter on it. For example, here I press enter, and I see the to-do that I need to look at. And if you have like notes on it and links on it, then you can just look at it like that. That's pretty nice. The other way is that I manage my agenda, especially after I start working, is the sprints, because you want to know what to do in each sprint and what has been done in each sprint, right? So you can have tags. So I mean, you can introduce tags to all your to-dos, and this plays a better role when you have sprints, because you can have tags for movies, for example, here I have SpecMax improvements, or some tags for in-code review. When they're in code review and you want to make you don't want to mark them as done yet. For questions, for links, for events, etc. In this case, let's say I want to see tags for all the to-dos in this week that have a sprint 13, and I see all the tags that need to happen in this sprint. And you can have multiple tags per element, so I can have an Emacs and a sprint 13 object, which is nice. Yeah, that's it. And also you can get notifications, because once you schedule things, it's kind of like worthless if it only lives on your Emacs, and you have to check Emacs and check your agenda every day. This is a hard habit. Some people do it, but I myself am pretty lazy, and I wouldn't do it every day. So what happens is that people have problems that other people have. So there has been other people that are as lazy as I am and have invented packages that make life easier. So OrgAlert is one of them. You just do OrgAlert. After you install it and configure it, there's a link for it. You have a check, and it will, if it works. All right, maybe it doesn't work right now. Oh, sure. Let's schedule this for today. All right. How about now? Okay, that's funny. All right. So I can just describe you what it does. It uses OrgAlert, which is a package that that uses the alert functionality. The alert package in Emacs will use whatever notification library is available for the operating system you have. So if you're in Linux, it will use libnotify or notify-send, etc. In OS X, it will use something like roll, or depending on your version, it will use terminal notify if you have it installed, etc. And it will provide you rich notifications, or provide you an API to give rich notifications. And people have used this package for IRC messages and things that just need to catch their attention. What OrgAlert does, it will check all the things that you have to do today in the next 2 or 3 hours, and you can configure it like that. And then it will notify you every 15 minutes or however long you want it to notify you for that. Hey, you haven't done this yet. Hey, are you going to do it? Hey, you haven't done this yet, etc., etc., etc. And I have some very nice improvements that could be made that I'm kind of looking for it. Especially in OS X, you can have a notification that has actions, right? Done or maybe delayed. And it technically is possible to have all notifications that notify you in your on your side, and then you can just click, oh, I did this already. I just click done and never touch org again. Never touch Emacs again. Just like say like, oh, I did this already. Cool, done. Not like that. Okay, so that's how it looks like. It looks prettier in OS X. It's like the native notifications, but apparently it's not working right now because I messed with it too much. Yeah, it wasn't. I couldn't make it work with the Notify program I wanted, so I modified the code, and maybe I just maybe. Anyway, the other thing that is very important is that you have some kind of methodology. So just doing to-dos by yourself is gonna you're gonna end up with like either a huge file of to-dos, which is like unmaintainable, or you're gonna have like many files for many projects, which is also maintainable. And one thing that is nice is that the get things done methodology. It's which is like there's some explanation on here. It's basically you recollect all the to-dos, and then you question yourself whether you can act on it or not. And if it's less than 2 minutes, you just do it. That's why your to-dos have to be like simple and like small. And if like it's not, then you check if you can defer it or delegate it. And if you can do that, just do it. And if it's not deferable, delegate it, and it takes more than 2 minutes, then you can put it inside a project or like bigger projects, right? And that's how you have like a whole project of improvement of the space math, or a whole project of making like a little website that does X. And it's really nice, and I would recommend it to people to like, at least read on it and like have some kind of methodology to use your to-dos. Because org mode is just a tool to manage to-dos and like do something with it. But if you don't have a methodology to it, it just like becomes like a tool that you cannot really use for whatever you need. Okay. So the way org mode is nice with get things done is that you can change the state of this. For example, here, this is a to-do, and I can change it with Control-C, Control-T. Oh, 1 second, caster. I should have enabled this before. Okay. It didn't work. Never mind. Control-C, Control-T, it will give you like state changes. You see like on top, it says to do, wait, done, and canceled. So those are the permutation options I can do for it to do. And below it says report, bug, known cause, and fix. And that's for bugs. So you can have different types of state paths for your elements in your org mode files. And you can choose where it's like a to-do or where it's like a bug. Oh, I accidentally pressed known cause here. Okay, let's say it's done. And it will also append automatically a logbook that it changed from done to known from known cause, and now it's like canceled, and it allows you to like type reasons why it got canceled, because I can, and it's nice to know how your tasks evolved, especially if like you're kind of like working on something bigger, like if you're on a team and you have like tasks assigned to you. And if tasks some of the times get canceled, some of the times like get deferred, some of the times like won't fix, won't do, etc. So it's nice to also have like a local copy of it. And if it's not enough, there is already a package that is org Jira that will sync your Jira tasks with your org file. So I mean, you can org mode is kind of like a very deep rabbit hole. I think Emacs is one rabbit hole, and org mode is like probably the second biggest rabbit hole I've ever been into. So there is org for like a lot of things, and you'll see that as I continue to go through this. Also, that those state changes can be configured per file. So in my Jira task, in my work notes, I have these lines, which is to do, in code review, done, deferred, and canceled. And for questions I want to ask, I have like ask and answer, like right. So whenever I will have a question, I would just put ask on it, and it will be highlighted. And whenever I would get an answer, in the state transition, I would put like, this is the answer of the question that I had, or like the research task that I had. That is very nice. Also, the fact that you can link to files, you can link to PDFs, or you can link to like the wiki pages that you you visited. It's extremely useful in that way, and the usefulness even gets bumped up even further for communications, and I'll go into that when we reach exporting. So you can configure things like that. Also, you can time yourself with Pomodoro. If you don't like GTD too much, you can do Pomodoro like that. I think it's June Pomodoro. There. It's the start of Pomodoro, and right now you cannot see because there is no mode line, but right here, there's a timer on your task. So it's nice to know that. There is also Pomodoro integration for in the menu bar. There is a Pomodoro thing that, extensions galore. It's so good. Okay, this is something nice as well. You can see there is a link here. Catastrophic event. Okay. It's very like simple to set up. You in Emacs you sometimes just require packages, and then they're good to go. So capture events. This is another part. When you're taking notes and when you're doing to-do tasks, let's say you're in a project and you want to capture something, right? So let's go to, let's say, this Mocha Snippets project, and I'm here and I'm looking at the PR that I was before, right? I'm building a PR here. So I want to say that this thing, I capture it, and I want to say like it's a to-do, and what I want to say is an Emacs tagged, and the Emacs capture or org capture mode allows you to be in your projects, in your project source code, or wherever you are in Emacs, and suddenly like abstract to it and see this window to your org files, and then just like say, I want to make this happy. Okay. And then when you press Ctrl+C, it will go and go to a appropriate org file that you destined, because there is like a big configuration file on where your capture files go. You can configure it per project. You can configure it per where you're not on a project, wherever you are in Emacs, and it will go to a certain part. For example, this one will go to my main to-do org file. And if you go in the capture again, there's many templates. You can do templates for jotting ideas or okay. You can do bookmarks, movies, or links from the internet, etc. We're gonna get back to it here. So now I show you how to capture something in your project. You can even capture with a link to the file in the line you're right now, etc. And all those have to do with templates. If you copy something from the internet, let's say you really like this Pomodoro thing, and you want to make sure you read it. So you go and do Ctrl+C, and then you say L will get links from the internet. And it's kind of powerful because you can read your clipboard and automatically put whatever you want on the to-do list. And you can say, read this now. Okay. And as I said before, you can have any Emacs list function run on these things. So you can make a GET request to get a title, get the title of the blog, put an image in it, like a thumbnail or whatever you want. These things this is kind of like very, very nice to have, and it's very extensible because Emacs just, yeah. Oh, you didn't mean to say that. You weren't meant to see that. All right, so you just Ctrl+C, and it goes to your link file, right? And again, you can access the link file from the agenda because you can have tags for your links. Well, I mean, they're not to do, so maybe they're not there. But you can have that. I don't have it right now, but that doesn't mean you can't. One other thing, what happens when you're not in Emacs? Because sometimes it happens that in your life you're not in Emacs, and that's okay. And and then you might be wondering, like, what do, right? There is org protocol, which is another thing that was surprising to me because it's like mind blowing and taught me about protocols. Org protocol is it will like you can tell your operating system to react to certain protocols. Like there is the file protocol, there is the HTTP protocol, FTP, SSH, etc. So you can create a new type of protocol that will be intercepted by an application in your computer. In this case, the application will be something that calls Emacs client. Emacs client is so people got really tired of Emacs starting in like a minute or like more than a minute sometimes, like because it was really slow to start up because it would load so many things, right? In contrast to Vim, that it loads kind of like faster. So what people would do is like they would never close Emacs and started creating an Emacs server that would like let you, for example, there's an Emacs instance right now over there. So if I go into my terminal, I can go and say Emacs client terminal. Oops, that's not there. I will open Emacs in my terminal, and it will be like blazing fast because Emacs, all the heavy loading is already done. The only thing I'm doing is org protocol, everything that, for example, maybe I should like do some kind of example here. So orchestral link, well, okay, this is how it looks like. Instead of HTTP, you have org protocol, and the URI is just data you want your Emacs client to handle. So there is, in essence, you can make a call to org protocol with data, and Emacs will get that data, act on it, and do whatever you want. In our case, we wanted to use Emacs capture to get maybe links from the web page or selections from the web page, etc. And of course, people have already thought of that, and they already have implemented a Chrome extension. I implemented my own Chrome extension because I wanted a configurability of having link and text, link only, or select option in Emacs, right? And then you just click capture, and it should work. You see here that the protocol is org protocol capture, and the link, and etc., and selections, and all these other things. And we'll open our protocol app, which is going to call my Emacs client. That's all nice and great, but it doesn't work on my computer. I tried hard to make it. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. I haven't touched org protocol in a while, ever since I moved to Mac. But if you go to my website, I used to have org protocol working great in Linux, and this is a video of how it was. So you would literally be, this is Emacs, you will literally be on the web page, make a key binding, and then it will open like a floating window that would be so nice and so many and so little. And you could like just go through the web and then capture things. That was awesome. And there is literally maybe no end of what you can do with it. So yeah, Mac doesn't let, like OS X doesn't let me like do all these things, especially the windowless window, or like the frameless window, right? It's extremely hard, or maybe impossible. But then there is the instruction on how to set it up in Linux right here. So that link is in my presentation as well if you want to try and play with it. I myself will keep trying to make org protocol work in OS X, and I'll update the blog post if it ever is possible. And well, that's not only that, because you can also use AppleScript to, at least in OS X, you can use AppleScript to fetch almost anything from any application. So if you're in your mail, checking your mail in Outlook, if you have to use Outlook like me, and then you can like get links to mails inside Emacs and open them. You know, you make a to-do. It's like to-do. Check on this email, and then you get the link in your org mode file, and then you click on the link, and it will take you to Outlook. Open Outlook. Open the messenger again, and do it. It works with like it could work with anything that lets you open it. It could work with Slack. It could work with like many applications that you have. So that's extremely nice, and that's like customization galore everywhere. I should have more gifts. Anyway, so yeah, this is what my workflow used to be, and I don't have this right now. I'm sorry. I'm sad too. All right, but then you're like, so this is just like a big text file. Like, what's the point of it? Because I cannot send like text files to my people, to my coworkers, or like, I cannot do nice things with it. This looks nice, but this looks like in my computer. So what you can do is you can export to PDF. This is when I was talking about how I started using org mode and forced myself to use org mode by using by writing my lab reports on it, and I didn't joke on it. I wasn't joking. I would take this is how you escape things for being LaTeX compatible, and this is in Spanish, so sorry for that. But you can even put actual LaTeX on it. It will still be fine. And then you can just do Control-C, Control-C, Control-E, export to LaTeX, and open the PDF file. And there you have your, even with like a table of contents generated for you, with all the things that LaTeX have in org mode. And this might not seem like very much of an example, but I have more examples. I have thermodynamics. Maybe that's not right. Oh, this was for lab notes, which is even. Oh wait, lab notes. So you can have links for like lab notes, right? You can read more about this here. The diode modeling. You can have Python code or like code for whatever you want inside your notes. And when you run it, well, I don't have NumPy right now, but if you run it, it will give you the results and paste them right there. Like here, I would define a function. So how about we try? Oh. We can try this with. Oh, whoa, what's going on? Okay. Trying to. I don't know what Emacs is trying to do right now, but apparently it doesn't let me like scroll very fast. But you can see how like this is actual Python code, and the biggest part of it is that you can tangle it. So you see this no web ref over here that gives a name to it, and then I'm using this name here as a template. So you can have different functions in different parts of your org file, explaining each of them, and then produce a big Python file that has all of your code, and it all gets exported when you do the org export thing. I don't know if this will work because maybe it has a dependency on running all the code like NumPy, but let's try it. Oh, apparently it did not. One second. Well, that thing needs a little tweaking, but there is a code, and probably we'll see some images, hopefully. Well, there's a table. Data people like tables. Science people love tables, and things like that. And what other things you can do here? Oh, I think you can see that also you can build a PDF in Emacs. That's nice, but not needed right now. Another thing that I used really extensively for making lab notes in Emacs was that you can have inline images, like you just saw the GIF. You can have inline images, and especially if you're using matplotlib or like some kind of plotting functionality in Python, you can run the code inside Emacs and see the plot right there and be like, yes, my thing is working and it's behaving how I expect it to be. So that's very nice. This is like mostly talking to the academics in you. And yeah, you can use PDF. You can also export to HTML. And let's try here. Maybe here. No. Yes. Let's try it with a New York file. Something.org. So to do, hi. We can have images, etc. If we export it to HTML, lol. If you export it, you can have this beautiful web page. Isn't it great? It's so great. But the point is that it's semantically very structured. Like it's not like you know what, all those pages that put like div tags instead of heading tags. So you can put all the CSS and all the JavaScript you want. And this is in fact what people have done by having org themes for HTML. And maybe I can get the org themes here. All right, maybe I will have to move this to G5 work mode. This work. Let's put it here. Work. Do something.org, and then we put a path to our org theme setup. And what this is really just a header for CSS and JavaScript. Yes, we load the JavaScript on the header. Don't judge me. That's how org mode does it. I mean, I don't think there is HTML footer or like put it on the top or the bottom of the body, but anyway. You just have to do this little line, and once you do it, oh wait, I guess you have to export it again. It opens up, and it's a totally different view of it, but it is still the same content. Like you didn't change anything in your org file but one line. So this is great for two things. One, I love it. You can narrow, in Emacs, you can narrow buffers. You can say, oh, I only want to show this part of the buffer. And if you export this, it will export just that part of the buffer, like this. So you can have work notes. And then you just copy this and paste it in an email, send it to your boss, and say, like, this is what I did this sprint. And that's how you get, like, you know, people think of you, the person that writes nice HTML emails. They must spend a lot of time doing it, but no, it's just like literally just lazily putting it in a text file. So, so that's pretty nice. And if you think that you can find a use to it, then you know, be my guest. If you find like sending HTML notes to coworkers or like people that you're working on GitHub or anything, that's fine too. Talking about GitHub, you can also export to Markdown. So whenever if you're taking notes on something and you want to put it on a README, just export it to Markdown and it will be done there. Another thing that you can do is export as a blog, because even though you can put almost any custom CSS and JavaScript, you can have anything in your exported template files. And if you have a way of organizing your templates, if you have a way of organizing your files so that exported they have like a file structure, then you have a website, a static website, but still, it's a website. And that's actually what my website is made of. My website is just org mode, and it has JavaScript that makes it like very nice, a nice candy, and the code it exports, it's also highlighted because Emacs highlights in quoted source code. It's also nice, and then you can have like functionality like having comments and back to top functionality, etc., and turn the lights on or the lights off. This is just to showcase that you can do JavaScript on it. It generates atom files or RSS files for you. Even has tags on it. It's also good, and you should try it if you have time on your hands. But you should not try it if you don't want to spend like a long time. The package for this is org page. There's also our web page. Makes it, I think, easier. And well, you want to have a blog for free, just like export all the HTML files, put it in the CDN, use S3 bucket for images, and then you are done. Like a blog for free-ish, maybe $3 a month. I don't know. You decide. Okay, I just want to show how images also can happen. But anyway, you can customize your blog template as much as you want. You can have attributes to images, so images can be like, the header of a blog post, kind of like Medium does, etc. So it's all up to you how you want to use your thing. But be careful and go explore. All right, that's kind of like most of it. And if you have any questions, would you like the questions to be broadcasted or not? So I can stop the broadcasting. Wait, actually, this is the broadcasting. Yes, thanks. How do I even? Yeah, but so are you? I just want to know if there is questions already that have been asked in the broadcasting event. What is this? No. All right, never mind. I'll just stop the broadcasting now.